Good evening, class. Today's topic is law enforcement encounters with individuals who are experiencing depression or suicidal ideations. In the course of criminal justice, law enforcement professionals are highly likely to come into contact with the individuals experiencing depression or suicidal ideations. How a law enforcement agent engages with that individual can actually be a matter of life and death, whether it's your life, their life, or someone else's life. When talking to someone who's experiencing extreme depression or suicidal ideations, it's important to use techniques that focus on things like empathy, active listening, and de-escalation. Building rapport is probably one of the most important starter functions for engaging with an individual. Without the rapport, what you say is not really going to resonate with them, and any suggestions or recommendations of de-escalating the situation is pretty much going to fall on deaf ears. So building that rapport is extremely important. Using open-ended questions is a great technique to allow the individual to tell you in their own words what exactly is going on without you limiting what they can tell you or what information you can glean from them regarding the situation. Showing compassion is extremely important. Avoid words that imply judgment or authority in these situations, because those are only going to force the individual to feel shame or isolation. What you don't say in these situations can often be just as important as what you do say. So you want to avoid language that minimizes the person's emotions, such as phrases like "you'll get over it" or "other people have had it worse." This is only going to make the situation worse, and it's going to make them feel like you genuinely do not care. Instead, try to validate their feelings. Even if you don't understand, try to come across as if you do. You can stick to generic things such as "it seems like you're in a lot of pain," or "hey, I'm here to help, I just want to listen, find out what's going on with you." These can make the individual feel supported and further build on the rapport that you start off with. Definitely want to avoid confrontation or interrogation style of speech. People that are going through these situations are already pretty overwhelmed. They may be aggressive, and questioning them in an interrogation type way may actually escalate the situation. You want to remain patient, non-judgmental, and attentive, again, to show that you genuinely are listening. And if the opportunity is there and you feel like you're in over your head, try to reach out for mental health professionals to come and back you up. I have my own personal experience with suicidal ideation. As a young military police officer, I was called to a residence about 3 in the morning. I was probably a year on the road at this point, so I was pretty green. Got a call. Senior NCO was having suicidal ideations. We got to his house. He met us at the door, told him who we were, why we were there. He identified himself as being the person that made the call, and said that he is the individual who was feeling suicidal. And then he backed into his home and into the darkness. My patrol partner and myself, against our better judgment, we followed him into the residence. He had made it all the way across his dining room and was standing in the dark. Couldn't see his hands. It seemed to be a pretty bad situation. Ultimately, we were able to talk him down. We used probably unconventional techniques. We weren't able to really relate with him. He was dealing with combat stress that he had brought home. He knew that we were younger juniors compared to him and had less experience, so relating to him on that personal level wasn't getting through. We wound up using, like I said, unconventional techniques. Honestly, we guilt tripped him. He had his family upstairs. He was trying to ultimately perform suicide by cop, and we asked him if he wanted his kids to come down and find that, because his children, we learned, were upstairs, his wife and his kids. Looking back, probably not the best technique, but again, I was pretty green. We did wind up getting the individual mental health support. They were put into an ambulance, transported to the hospital. Ultimately, it was resolved in the best of ways. Definitely one of the most scary situations I've ever been in. Yeah, it definitely makes an impact on how you talk to individuals. That conversation, wound up pouring my heart out to this guy just to make a dent. Didn't even faze him. But eventually, bringing up his wife and children is what broke through. So, all the tips and techniques, they're helpful, but every situation is unique. But definitely engaging individuals with compassion, care, empathy, and focus on de-escalation is by far the most important in these situations with depression and suicidal ideations. Thank you.